widely recognized as Lauren Hans, is an innovative developer and builder of paranormal equipment, most notably the Crystal Pod, which has gained global acclaim with shipments spanning from Australia to Europe and across North America. Her passion lies in creating educational content, delving into topics like physics and the often overlooked mechanical principles behind paranormal tools. As she aptly puts it, how do you know it works if you don't understand how it works? Please welcome Lauren Hellekson and her topic, paranormal equipment. How do you know it works?
Okay. I don't know how this works. I almost started crying because I don't know how this works. Let's go back. This is also just secret. This has been a bucket list event to speak at, so if I start crying, that's why. I get very emotional. Okay, hello, I am Lauren Hellekson. If you've never heard of me or if you don't recognize me, that's okay. And also if you've never recognized this, that's also okay, but this is probably what I'm most known for. I one day decided to put shiny, sparkly crystals on a proximity sensor, and all of a sudden, people all over the world started buying them, thanks to Mr. Dave Giuliano from the Ghost Hunter store, so there's that. But this is kind of what I'm most known for around the world, which is very surreal and awesome. But I am an equipment developer and builder, and I have started probably in the last year or so really diving into educating the paranormal industry about how our equipment works, but not like, here's where you put the batteries. More so like, what are the different ways we can be using some of the equipment that maybe we've learned from TV or other sources on how to use. So like a proximity sensor, you know, we put it in the middle of the room and then we say, touch the antenna if you're here. And although of course we're like, oh, it's EMF, it's all of these things. And I aim to go a little bit deeper down that rabbit hole, beyond sort of the trigger equipment. So that's what I started doing, and that's how I got into this. And really it all started, it's my dad's fault. He started bringing home computers instead of toys, and we started taking them apart, and it never ended. I've been taking things apart for, I don't know, some 30 odd years, and maybe putting them back together for the last 10 or so, but here we are. Now we're in a haunted prison talking about ghosts, and it's incredible. But my work and research, I started building tech specifically for the paranormal. I feel like I'm breathing into this. I am loud enough. We're not going to use this. It's fine. Can everybody hear me? Okay, fantastic. I'm going to keep going, and we're going to start a hip hop group. I started building tech for specifically the paranormal community in around 2021. Greg Fiketic actually owns the first piece of equipment that I ever fixed for him that started me building proximity sensors for the paranormal. And the big aim was, one, equipment's very, very expensive and sometimes very inaccessible. But two, I just really wanted to know how things worked. And I enjoy making things pretty. Have you seen my skirt? So that was around 2021, and I debuted the Crystal Pod on the Ghost Hunter store in 2023, right? I think that's correct. And then my other two devices, the Seer and the Nova, on my website, laurenhans.com, in 2024. So aside from that, though, some of the noteworthy people that do either consistently use my equipment, feature my equipment, or own my equipment, if anybody is familiar with Becky Ann Galentine, she's a rather large content creator. She exclusively uses my equipment. A lot of that is for the aesthetic, and she's a wonderful human being. If you do not follow her, I urge you to look her up. She has one of the largest collections of Ouija boards. She is very, very educated on a lot of Victorian spiritualism, and so the aesthetic is like chef's kiss. Also, Kalani Ghost Hunter, if anybody's familiar with Kalani, he uses the Nova, and because of Kalani, I am very excited to say, because this is also very surreal, Jason Hawes has used my equipment as well, along with Aaron Sagers, who is here. I have given him a piece, and I am building pieces for him, and Dave Giuliano better use my equipment. And then we have, some other I was on CBS News this past Halloween. One of my pieces of equipment was on there. So that was all very, very exciting. But not just building and selling the equipment. Of course, that's a moneymaker. But my heart is very much in research and experimentation. So one big project that is currently running that I'm very, very proud of is a public experiment. It says 2 years. It's probably going to be way longer than 2 years, called The Chamber. Is anybody familiar with the Madison Seminary in Madison, Ohio? I recently installed a social experiment called The Chamber, which is an interactive meditation room, essentially, that explores the connection between our state of mind and how we experience or interact with the paranormal. So that's something that's going on right now. It is currently at the moment getting an upgrade, so if you went like right now, you couldn't use it. But I also have the meditation prompts on my website. So really, you can use those wherever you are. So those are just some noteworthy things about me. And then this is what you have to look forward to with what we're about to do. I will have to stay on track. You will literally have to scream at me, Lauren, you have got to wrap it up. Because we can go down some rabbit holes. But it's just equipment. But honestly, when it comes to the equipment that we're using, sure, it can all be very, very simplistic. But when we start diving into the why and the how and the other things those things can do, y'all, I recently enrolled in school and I'm going back to school in August because of those rabbit holes. I was a dance major the first time I went to college. I'm going for electrical engineering and physics this time, like officially tested math, everything, physics, and that's this fall. It's ghosts, okay? Gosh, those pesky ghosts, just encouraging people to become educated. So these are some of the questions that I really want to focus on, and I want you to also just yell things at me, please. They have to be nice. But I want to know, what we all know of, because the big thing about research too is that we have to share the information that we know. We have to share our opinions, and that's how we build on things. We share. It's not me teaching you and telling you how something is. It's sharing experiences, sharing what we do know, and then working together in order to build in so many other directions. Because it's insane. So how many, is this the first time at Ohio State Reformatory? Oh my gosh, yes. So how many are interested in paranormal investigation? Even if you're a part of the paranormal community, interested is obviously you should be. And then how many would say that they actively, go out on cases, paranormal investigating at locations, whether it's public or private? Okay, so how many people are familiar with at least one piece of paranormal equipment? Excellent. You guys should all raise your hands because I just showed you this. It's a proximity sensor, and I do have a lot of equipment at my table too, so if you're like, I don't even know what that is, come on down. We'll play with it. I got toys, it's great. So fantastic. So I expect to hear some answers from you guys. So we're jumping right into it. When it comes to paranormal investigation, to ghost hunting, to these things that we do in these haunted locations, what are we documenting? What are we trying to catch? Yell it out.
Existence of something we can't see or understand.
Existences of something we can't change. I mean, temperature changes, yeah. But what would that be like indication of? Ghosts. Energy. Ghosts and energy. Energy and ghosts, one of the, if not the most, energy I would say is one of the most common. Because what are ghosts? If somebody says, what are ghosts? What do you think what's the first thing that comes to mind? Energy. It's all energy. A lot of our equipment revolves around energy, whether it's a trigger device, whether it is even our cameras. We're trying to document some sort of shift in energy that doesn't belong in the space that we're exploring. Because that's really cool. How often does that happen? Maybe not as often as we think it's happening, but a lot of that comes with learning how to sort of decipher what this energy is. So what do we think that energy is? That's okay, the silence is necessary here. Because it's like, well, so that is one thing I do want you to take away. We're just gonna touch base on just a few different kinds of energy. And why is this important to it will come together, especially if you're equipment users. So how are these occurrences manifesting? I'm gonna put you the $5 bill. What'd you say, temperature changes? You got it. What are the different things that we do look for when we're trying to document energy? You said temperature changes. What else? Smells. Oh yeah, I like that one. For sure, especially if you were in the attic at all, if you were here for the ghost hunt last night or the vendor ghost hunt, the attic. Smells, what other things? Sounds. Unexplainable noises, voices. What was it? Visual anomalies. Did you see that? A lot of that here. So let's talk about chemical energy. What maybe do we think chemical energy might entail? Do we know what chemical energy is? I don't. But the thing, it's funny, we see it every single day. We interact with chemical energy every single day. Has anybody ever burnt their toast before? That's a chemical change. Has anybody ever driven a car that requires, I don't know, gasoline? There's a lot of chemical changes that happen there. Oil. We're surrounded by chemical changes. When you have something, and then there's some sort of action, response to stimuli, and it changes, we often experience chemical energy. And the one that I think we least think about is our brains and our bodies. That smell could be some sort of chemical change in our brain telling us that we're smelling something. That weird feeling that we get, that increase in different chemicals in our brains that trigger our fight or flight response, that's a chemical change that's happening in our own bodies. What does that have to do with equipment? Not necessarily anything yet, but there are things that we can't document with our electronic equipment. More often than not, like chemical changes, because our EMF devices and our REM pods aren't going to trigger when our sympathetic nervous system heightens and our fight or flight response goes into play. So when you are listening to your favorite celebrity talk, and a lot of times that default answer is, what's your favorite piece of equipment? Me. That's an incredibly valid answer. There is no paranormal if we don't have personal experiences. There really isn't. That's where they stemmed from. When we had the spiritualist movement in the 1800s, did they have crystal pods? Yes, because I invented time travel and I gave them to them. No. So a lot of really just old tech, aside from some of the things that they used, were just documenting some of the chemical changes that happen in our own bodies. Potential energy. Now this is one that we can absolutely sort of document. Wait, can I see my notes with this? Are you guys gonna see my notes if I pull my notes up? Presenter view. Yeah, yes! So, we know what a pendulum is. Man, I wish I had we know what a pendulum is? So, if I'm a pendulum, this spot right here, before it changes directions, that very split second is potential energy. That is something that is right between action and then it swings down and it's no longer potential energy. But that moment, how can we relate that moment to experiences that we have in the paranormal? I can guarantee if you've been in a haunted location, you have experienced this. 5,000%. Cold? Absolutely. Hair standing up on end? Absolutely. That feeling of heaviness? Absolutely. We think that we need to be throwing out all of our equipment when that happens, when nothing has happened yet. We're just experiencing that shift in chemical change in our brains and our minds and our bodies. So we're like, hurry, get the REM pods, put it all out, get the SLS, put it over there, let's go, do this, do that. But what you should be doing when we're experiencing maybe potential energy, what do you think we should be doing? Observing. Yes. Because what happens next could then dictate us getting into the equipment. So I feel like there's so often we are kind of skipping a lot of steps when it comes to knowing how our equipment works because we want to throw it out there because we want to hear the beeps and we want to see the lights. There's so many steps that happen before any zippers open up on our gear bags. And that's super important. That hair standing on end. What kind of familiar energy can we think of when our hair stands up? Static. Right before that spark happens. That is potential energy. That feeling right before lightning strikes, that's potential energy. There's a really fun fact about lightning too. We know how it happens. We know how it works in the clouds. But in science, and this is something that you can look up and verify, we know like 99% about lightning, yes, of course. But it's very unsure the environment causes in which creates that sort of habitat inside of a cloud for lightning to be possible. And that is an incredibly awesome little tidbit when it comes to how science is unknown without science denial, because we don't want to do that. But being able to still have that chunk of wonder is so incredibly important. And it shows us too that we're not going to know everything about the things that we're trying to explore, but there's a lot that we can know that we might not be utilizing, like this potential energy. So potential, like static electricity, that's like the buildup possible energy. I'm going to show you so many different parts of energy that are a part of this so that we can stop saying that energy and we can start diving down into what kind of energy are we experiencing that's going to dictate how we use equipment, how we document, how we log the data. I get so excited. Kinetic, we know what kinetic energy is. Ready? Ready for my kinetic energy? Bye, husband. Potential? Potential. Somebody say it. Potential. Kinetic energy. That's like three little parts of energy, and that's like what we live for. That's the movement. That's the chair being pushed. That's the door being closed. That's like the sweet stuff that we rarely get to experience. The energy is something that has a result of its movement, is that kinetic energy, even down to a molecular level as well. Sometimes kinetic energy is happening when we're not even realizing it as well too. Static electricity comes from what? Friction. This is friction that we can see, but there is friction and movement happening on a level that we can't see, not just paranormally, but down to like that point particle range of those electrons imbalancing themselves, and static is happening. It happens a ton when it's like cold and frigid out. But there are a lot of instances where it really shouldn't be happening in the middle of a room. So having something that maybe logs static is a really important piece. And yes, of course, you can come to my table. I will show you this here. It is okay. But even down to that molecular, and kinetic energy can also be transferred. Can I have a volunteer? Can I just come here? I didn't even ask. All right. I want you to run into me. Did anybody see that? Did you guys get that on film? Her kinetic energy, she collided with me and it transferred it. Kinetic energy can be transferred. It can be a result. Thank you so much. You're amazing. That was beautiful. And there are so many ways that we can also experience that too. That door shut. Is that a some sort of transfer of kinetic energy? Did something happen before that? Are there all these other different ways? What could we have documented before that? Man, if we would have just sat still instead of just trying to get all of our equipment out for just a second, we probably could have caught that one. So in the paranormal, this can be the physical movement, those vibrations, those things. We love the word vibration, the static electricity, the discharge in the static electricity, or what's causing the static electricity, all of those pieces. Now this one, we all know because we love EMF, which is our radiating, our electrical, and our thermal energy. This is like the ghost hunter toolkit right there. We love trying to document using with and to document these three little pieces right here. We love it. It's like mother's milk to ghost hunters. Radiating electrical thermal, like electromagnetic radiation. Noticeable changes within the electromagnetic spectrum, ways we can safely document these changes, Okay, I'm not gonna read all those. That's absolutely ridiculous, Lauren. So this is something that we're all very familiar with. And we are going to get into how we're familiar with that, because how are we measuring it? Throw me out some devices. Just throw out some devices, and they don't have to be mine. Any device, favorite devices, throw them out. You guys all said that you were good. K2, got it, keep going. EMF, REM pod. Mel meter, tripwire. That weird bear. The Boo Bear. You must rename it, that weird bear. Somebody get that weird bear we're documenting. Keep going. Give me some more. I want like 5 more. What was it? Dot matrix. Is that like a laser grid? Ah, laser. Ooh, I like that. Ghost box. Cat balls. Ghost box. Does it spit out words? Oh, okay, like an ovulus, okay, like an ovulus, yeah. So like the ghost, got it. Like an SB7? Like a radio, that yeah, ITC stuff. Awesome. Awesome. Good job, laser grid, good job. Cat balls. We love EMF. We love it. We love it. EMF meter, K2, Mel meter. Not always. It's not, but we can go into that some other time. Proximity sensors, that's your REM pod, your tripwires, your natural EMF devices. That's not a thing. It's not. If you want to talk about that, we can talk about that too. It's okay. It's an old timer, sorry, Dave. That was something like magnetometers were like the piece of equipment that allowed us to see. And if you want to talk about that, come to my table. IR, microwave motion sensors, infrared night vision cameras, SLS, IR thermometers, thermal cameras, music boxes. Just call things what they are. Weird bears. You can call it a weird bear though, or a Boo Bear, because it is a very cute name. We love documenting that kind of energy. We love it. We love it. How many slides was that in? That was like 4th slide on the energy. And we just love to live there. And then itty bitty static stuff. The periscope, which I'm not even sure if they make periscopes anymore. Ben Hansen had one, but it was also EMF, so up here. Various static sensors, but a lot of those various static sensors on the market are also EMF, so there we go, back up in there again. Not the seer though. If you want to see it, come. Just kidding, I'm just kidding. No, I'm not. Kinetic, laser grids, the cat balls, motion sensors, even if they do also belong up here still. Ultrasonic sound motion sensors are absolutely fantastic. Music box is like a term that gets to me. But how we see so much in that electromagnetic spectrum. And again, when we go back to this, what are we covering here? What are we covering here? We're getting rid of this, we're getting rid of this, we're getting rid of this, we're getting rid of so many ways that we could be documenting things, because this is more accessible, unfortunately, which, yes. Now, we did talk a little bit about communication-based techniques, and I really feel like when it comes to documenting and energy documentation, this is in its own little area. I think this is something that can run in tandem with our data documentation, with our trigger devices, with the things that we're getting readings from, our baselines, our proximity sensors, things that need to be touched and things like that. These should be separate. And yes, I also mean that it's probably likely that you should find a different way to communicate than using your trigger devices. They should be triggering you of energy changes, not of Johnny touching the antenna. Sometimes Boo Bears aside, because that's also a trigger object, so I feel like that is almost trigger devices inside of trigger objects can sometimes be put in something like this because you are trying to elicit an emotional response and humanize the energy. So I do believe it sort of bleeds into this area. I just wanted to recognize that. We're not actually going to talk about all these things. So why are these findings so inconsistent? Who actively would say, I am a paranormal investigator? Oh, okay. I was like, guys, that's okay. Have you investigated ghosts? There is no certifying agency. You can be a paranormal investigator if you've investigated paranormal. Yes, yeah, that's totally okay. Who would definitively say, I am influenced by my favorite TV show? There is nothing wrong with that. Thank you for that honesty. There is nothing wrong with that. A lot of the electrician's equipment is because I started watching Ghost Hunters in 2004. And I was like, I have a Paul's Do It Center right up the street. I'm going, because I'm broke. But when we say, I don't know if I'm really influenced too much by TV shows, who has ever used a REM pod? A lot of us have. You maybe were influenced. Because a lot of the trigger devices that we see in paranormal investigations, a lot of the things that we use in paranormal investigations are because our favorite dude used them. Okay, Becky Ann Gallant, now. Who I think you all know who our favorite dude is. Portal. In about 2006, a gentleman named Bill Chappell, well, actually, Gary Galka. Bill Chappell did a lot of the other stuff that we really love. Gary Galka, who had lost his daughter and wanted to get into the paranormal in order to maybe find proof of life after death as a form of grieving, which is a lot of reason why we get into this business, I think, personally, created a DOS REM pod out of being inspired by the theremin musical instrument. And Zach Bagans was like, babe. And that is a staple in a lot of our toolkits because of the influence that created. So we can say that we hate entertainment all that we want, but it is a reason why we do a lot of the things that we do in the paranormal. And as long as we're improving on that, y'all, that's okay. It is okay. Sometimes they do have good ideas, no matter what. We can make fun of their methods, we can make fun of their techniques, but if we're not sharing rather than making fun of, rather than criticizing, rather than feeling better than, we would take the paranormal from here, skyrocket. I mean, personally, do you think maybe we would like him so much? I don't know, who knows, whatever. I'm talking about specific to the paranormal. And our findings are sometimes inconsistent because of that deep entertainment influence or lack thereof. Controllable environmental contamination. When was the last time you contacted the police department and got the routes of patrol for the city that you were investigating in? Niner will, and it's not something that you can debunk. That's just a small one. Subjective assumptions. Guys, that was my grandma. That was my grandma. She just died. I asked her to reach out to me. That is her. That was her. That was her. Proved. Done. And a lot of that's emotional. And it is okay. I'm not trying to default people for being emotionally connected to their work. But that's a subjective assumption. Superficial experimentation. All right, guys, the first time we're ever at this location, ever. We have no idea of the layout. I don't know where the nearest hospital is. I have no idea where the police department is, but we're going to do an experiment. Well, you just told me that you're not. You're going to play, and that's okay, because playing is cool. We don't have to cosplay as scientists in order to explore and discover, because that whole entire time of being somewhere that you have never been, there are so many really cool chemical changes and energies that you can document personally at the first time at a location that you are missing out on because you want to write in your science book. And we're just like jumping over stuff. We have fun. Simplification of scientific data, that's also that same thing as well too. Like, you know what, this place is haunted because of string theory. What does that mean? Lack of transparency or access to tech education. This is a huge one. There's so much tech out there. We have so much access to cool toys. And seldom do I see a user manual come with equipment. It's very, very seldom. And that's important. And with that, lack of proper or thorough testing of equipment. When you get a proximity sensor, one of the first things that you should do is pull out your two-way radio and point that two-way radio at your proximity sensor and push that button. Not only is that going to show you what a radio wave trigger might sound like, so you can keep an ear out, but it's also going to show you the volatility of your equipment. Next time you have a piece of equipment like an Oculus that has an antenna on it, and you're like, this is just a word bank, point your two-way radio at it. It's going to start going, Steve, Tom, Demon, house, cheese fries. And you're going to understand that there's a volatility there that you're going to have to take into account when you're using it. And it's like, I didn't know that the Ovilus would go off when I pointed a radio at it. I had no idea, but I was like, that's an antenna. I wonder, and it started going, and I was like, oh, okay. That's something we need to keep an eye on, because when that thing starts going crazy, it could be a radio wave. It doesn't necessarily mean that a ghost is really talking to you. Can we be more objective? Absolutely. We can always be more objective. We are going to go through some of these. Thus far, though, even if it's a specific question about a piece of equipment, does anybody have any questions or clarifications when it comes to this information? Because I know it's a lot. Was anybody at all I think I could do that a little bit differently the last time that I was at this location? There's definitely something I think I want to try next time. Maybe not unzip my bag right away the first second that I go in there. Sometimes just sitting. I really loved, anybody on the celebrity ghost hunt last night? When we were up in the attic with Aaron and Heather Taddy and Ben Hansen? Yes. You guys remember when he was like, you know what, we're gonna turn off all the lights and we're all just gonna sit. We're all gonna sit, we're gonna time it, and we're gonna sit. And then he was like, what kind of things did you hear? What did you feel? What did you experience? That could be a chemical energy sort of breakdown. How often are we sometimes just sitting in a location and experiencing the location as is without taking EMF baselines, without any of that stuff? That little moment of meditation not only can sometimes align your own energy with that space, get you familiar with a lot of the sounds, the temperature, your surroundings. You could possibly have a personal experience, which, y'all, who cares if you document it? We got to live for those personal experiences. But when it comes to our equipment specifically, questions to ask before your next gear purchase. And I really, really urge you to, if you want to take a picture of this is something important that we should be asking ourselves. What kind of phenomena am I using this for? What specific things am I purchasing this piece of equipment in order to document? Within what range of energy or atmospheric stimuli? So what triggers it? Does this work in? Is my REM pod going to pick up on static electricity? Some of it after it discharges, yeah, absolutely. But am I going to be able to register a build in static with my REM pod? What are the paranormal triggers, but also what are the false positive triggers? Is anybody familiar with Kalani Ghost Hunter? That was one of the most impressive things when I was selling somebody, especially somebody who's in entertainment. He was like, I need the false positives. And I'm like, why? Because you're going to set it off. And then anytime I watch him in a video using it, he lists the false positives. This is why it could go off, this, and that. That's what we want to make sure, that we keep into account. And I'm like, does it have a mechanical application outside the paranormal? The components inside of this come from a security alarm. You hang it on a metal door handle, and if somebody comes within close proximity of the other side of the door, it sets off. It's a security device. The DOS REM pod is a theremin, which was the result of the Soviet government experimenting with proximity sensors. And the scientist that made that theremin proximity sensor was like, this sounds cool, I'm going to take it. And they were like, cool, we don't want it, it's annoying. And he was like, bet. No intended purpose for ghost hunting. Although I don't know what they were experimenting for. I like to pretend in my mind that they were trying to find ghosts. I don't think so though. But he was like, this is great. And it turned into a musical instrument. Any Star Trek fans? Theremin. Also like spooky stuff too. Can you guys tell I practice my theremin impersonation? I'm kind of a professional. Thereminist, but not the actual instrument. It's incredibly difficult to play. How can you test your devices? When you know how it's made, so these top questions, you can determine how it should respond in the field. If I know what the false positives are, I can test those false positives and therefore test some affirmative triggers. Using what you know about your gear can help you find ways to test both their accuracy, but more importantly, their volatility. And experimentation, that's a whole other conversation. Going back to me saying, when was the last time you found out the police department's route for, what's the word I'm looking for? Patrolling a city. I didn't even think of that. That can set off so many pieces of equipment that's inside your ghost time. That cop drives by, just checking in, could set off your devices and then never set them off again. That was just documented as possible paranormal activity in your data book. But it absolutely wasn't. So it gives us, and it's not saying you're wrong for that, but it's giving us this skewed information that is creating this abundance of activity that may not be activity at all. And we all want to be really great debunkers, but there is a huge gray area of things that we might possibly cannot debunk, but it's also because we're not diversifying our experimentation. We're not going out beyond turning our cell phones on airplane mode. There's a ton of planning that goes into a properly controlled experiment. So until something like that happens, if you're able to secure going to a location 10 times and the surrounding area, just think of as observation when you go to a place. Don't worry about experimenting. Observe. Gather intel until you can go again. Gather information about the area. See if you can get in contact with the patrol routes. Sometimes you're able to, especially like small towns. They're like, cool, yeah, let us know where you are. And we're gonna drive by and really just kidding. How many times are you repeating and recreating? We know that that's important. And then that consistent experimentation, because again, we know that that's important as well too. So I wanted to go back one more time because I really wanted to give you the example of when we say paranormal's energy, we're going to, this is a Van de Graaff generator. This is something that I use for like tech education, but also what I use in order to experiment on my own devices and test my own theories. You should yell it at me. I just saw you stand and I was like, I should look over 5 minutes. That's okay, good, because I'm almost done. Man, I nailed it. So we're going to demonstrate kinetic energy, potential energy, and then the electrical energy that can follow. So when we say energy and I say what kind of energy, this is what I mean. So me, what am I? Yo, I'm the kinetic energy. So me, what am I? Thank you, goodness gracious. Now if I were to just turn this a few times, and you can't hear it, but, oh no, I don't want to, I'll blow that out if I do that. I was gonna put the microphone up to it, that would have been a bad idea. We would have had a chemical change there. But you hear this little crackling, this little buildup of electrons starting to imbalance. What happens after we feel that buildup in a lightning cloud? We start to feel things happen. We start to, you can't really see it, but you can see, I can see, you'll just have to trust me. The hairs on my arm are starting to attract, I don't know, I might have too much hairspray. I think I probably have too much hairspray, yeah. I really wanted this to be in place. My hair will start to be attracted to this to try to force a rebalancing of electrons and using my body as grounding. But if we continue it on, our kinetic energy and our potential, can we all see that? Are we all seeing the little, if you don't see it, you can absolutely come and just play with this. I'll let you even crank it. That discharge, static electricity is not on the electromagnetic spectrum. You cannot pick up building static with a REM pod. You can pick up the discharge, the after effect, but there was so much juicy-ish going on right here because I am a ghost and I'm moving and you're missing it because you're using a REM pod. But this you're getting. So sometimes maybe those proof positive triggers, those beep, 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 is a result of a whole bunch of ish that just happened. So think about, number one, of course, how your equipment works, the result of your favorite piece of equipment, and see if you can start to take a step backwards. I love the REM pod. What causes that to go off? Okay, electromagnetic radiation. What are some different, maybe natural ways I can think of that is electromagnetic radiation? How is that caused? For me, the biggest piece of natural electromagnetic radiation is going to be lightning. We all see it in the sky and it happens. Great, how is lightning formed? Oh, okay, a buildup of static electricity. How is static electricity formed? Oh, okay, kinetic energy, movement, that's what I want movement. Why am I using that? Oh my God. And when we do that, not only do we get devastated sometimes, just kidding, but we're able to really start to diversify how we're addressing this field, and things will start to expand. Because I love you so much. That's all I have though, but if you wanna come hang out, play with this, I have a Tesla coil too. My table's down in the east diagonal. Thank you. So this is, like I said, this is a bucket list. I'm glad I didn't cry because I was about to. I'm probably going to now. So I really appreciate you guys coming and listening to me. Thank you. Do you see my dress? Encore, more tears. Okay.